Let's see. All right, it's time for a new episode of DWMOD, and you can disagree with me or don't, but let's go.
Touchdown!
Hey, the Pistons are scrappy, but it's quickly looking like we got all our balls in that lottery bag.
Down! Hut! Hut! Hut!
All Lions fans drinking that Kool-Aid. Super Bowl. Hey, disagree with me or don't. That's how it works.
Hut! Hut!
Hey, that's how it works, right? Nobody knows better than Andy St. Clair. That's how it works. Welcome back to the show, brother.
Buddy, what's up? It's been a while. It's good to be back.
It has been a minute, man. I was out of town, fill everybody in. I'm sure you guys were following along on the social media threads there from DWMOD Pod. But the wife and I took a awesome anniversary trip. Man, it was crazy. It was one of those gifts of COVID. You don't have many of those, but a gift of COVID, Way back when we got married, Andy, she's a smart lady, and we were broke in Detroit, and she was going to night school, and I was a fireman. She started this little account where, like, change from our debit card purchases would go into this special account. Oh. And we were going to go somewhere on our 10th anniversary, right? Well, then right around that time, this started falling, like, near COVID. And then, my son Nolan was getting really good with the football. Then we had the recruiting going. So we're like, all right, we can't go anywhere COVID. Then we put it off for his junior, senior year. Because now he was hot in the recruiting thing and I was coaching and stuff. So it got put off to like our 15th, 16th year. So it got 5 or 6 more years of money in it. And then we're like, well, now we got some money. Let's go somewhere. So we went over to Europe, went to Croatia, toured all all that Game of Thrones stuff. And then all that, all the ocean front over there up Croatia, went up to Slovenia, took a day trip over to Venice and shit. It was crazy. It was cool.
You went and saw like Luca's home. His original home.
Yeah. That picture I posted with me holding up the Team Slovenia jersey I bought over there in front of that Dragon Bridge. Like, that's right in Slovenia. Like, that's the Dragon Bridge, right where he's from and stuff. So
isn't it crazy? Like, Luca may be one of the best 2 or 3 basketball players in the world from that very small country.
Yep.
The country's not very big.
Slovenia,
no, it's not big.
No, and I'm telling you, them people over there, a million conversations I had with the pride of all those guys that came out of like former Yugoslavia. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Well, whenever someone's good from Missouri, I'm like, this guy's from, Brad Pitt. I always talk about Brad Pitt. He went to school in Missouri. Like, he's from Springfield, Missouri. I'm like, this is my guy. Sheryl Crow, she went to Missouri. I'm like, I loved Sheryl Crow.
I did not know that. I did not know that. Okay.
John Hamm, St. Louis. Like, we are a state of good-looking people. That's what I'm saying. And Missouri is. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, you got to have that pride where you're from, man. Like, I was swelling up this year NFL draft when they were like, Detroit is officially the city with the most NFL players now. Who would have guessed that?
Right.
Who would have guessed that? You would have guessed somewhere in Texas or Florida or, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, It's crazy, man. You got to have that pride. And they do over there, man. They love Luca. Everybody you talk to was like, oh, no, I know him. And I was like, okay, all right. Crazy though. But no, it was a fantastic trip. So we're late getting back to this, and it was right on the heels of doing the live draft show, and then had a few stand-up gigs, and then boom, hit the road, and we were gone, man. So welcome back, everybody. We're excited to get going. Let's jump right into a little of this WNBA stuff, buddy. Now, you were telling me you have season tickets to the Sparks out in LA there.
We do. Wife and I got some this year. We have a 5-year-old daughter, and I also have tickets to the Clippers. I share with a bunch of guys. I'm not just spending all my time at the Staples Center. So I go to like 5 to 10 games a year, Clippers, and I've taken my daughter a couple times, like to really bad games. She doesn't know that though. Like, I went to a preseason game where none of the Clippers played. She would like being there, for example. But we got some tickets. We're going to a game. We're going to the Sparks Aces game on Sunday, for example. And there's one tonight as well that my daughter and my wife are going to. But we went to the Fever Sparks game. Okay. So we saw Caitlin. We saw Caitlin Clark, and it was packed. It was packed. Like, I heard some people talking there who were like, "It's crazy. We're selling tickets in the 300s. The 300 would be, to the top there." There was tons of people. There was like a lot of NBA dudes there. There was like, Gilbert, Agent Zero was there, Arenas, and you had Kenyon Martin, you had DeMar, DeRozan, you had a couple guys like that. You had like Sudeikis was there. You had some celebrities. There was some women's soccer team players were there. So I think that's the value Caitlin Clark's bringing.
Oh, no
to
doubt. I mean, Andy, they used to sell 300 tickets. Now they're selling tickets into 300s. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like I mean, that's crazy. And that's exactly the point. That's all over sports talk right now. But like you and I, we don't come out of the machine and we don't got to talk about what they talk about, right? So, um, they keep trying to downplay this thing on the mothership, like, oh, nobody's mauling her, they're not going after her, and I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? Like,
Right.
I'm watching the replays. They're absolutely fucking after this broad, man.
Well, she's getting picked up like from the jump. That's the thing that stood out to me. It was like, she's fine right now. She's not like a superstar in the WNBA. There's probably 10 players as good or better than she is right now. Maybe 5, but they're just giving her no room to breathe ultimately. By the way, I will say her team is horrible.
Terrible.
Like, it's like she's the best player on that team. Clearly, they have the girl from South Carolina. I think her name is Boston's her last name. She's the center. She was in South Carolina team a couple years ago, and she's fine. Like I wanted her to be better. She's kind of like she's like an NBA center who just kind of gets points and rebounds, but doesn't do a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
So like these other teams are just kind of picking her up and like they're like, well, we'll just stop her. And the Fever are bad. They're bad.
They're bad. And everybody's like extremely extra physical with her. And but like that's to be expected, right? I mean, that's how they did Jordan when Jordan came into the NBA, right? I mean,
yeah.
All them old heads in the NBA were like, no, man, we earned this. We literally put this league on our back, the Birds and the Magics and everybody. We built this thing and it was almost out of business. And now this dude's coming in and getting all the accolades and all the money and all the deals. You're damn right they went after him. But one big difference here, right? The NBA was established at that point. The WNBA is not. And they are choking out a cash cow right now. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that she's must see. I will say, the crowd was obviously pro Sparks, but when Caitlin Clark was introduced, it was very loud. She made a 3-pointer to kind of ice the game for the Fever. I think it was their first win against the Sparks in LA.
Yeah.
And it was loud. Like I was like, this is a home game for the Sparks,
Right,
it's like
right.
This is so it's I of course I'm not old enough to think of like Pistol Pete or like some of those guys in the 70s who were like really awesome college players, but on kind of bad teams. That's kind of what Clark, or even in the 80s, it's kind of what Caitlin Clark reminds me of, those like guys who are, are their own like traveling circus. And that's kind of what she is right now.
Yeah. She in a few years, if they don't pick it up, she probably will be the first big free agent, huge deal to move teams in the WNBA. You just don't see that.
Yeah, they got it. I mean, if I'm the Fever, also I kind of think their coach is bad, but just another story. But I do think they have to like just be bad, and then whoever's good in women's college basketball,
pick them up.
Pick them up, like draft them. Like they just got to acquire talent in some way.
Yeah.
Like they're just gonna get. I don't think she's gonna just break out over the year. I think she's gonna she'll be fine. She's going to get her points.
Yeah, she's kind of breaking out in the last couple of weeks here. She's up to like 17 a game now. So I mean,
right? She's just going to have to eat it this year. They got to get some talent around her. I think when they do, just another shooter would help tremendously.
Tremendously.
Like Boston's fine, who's in there, but like just another person. They need some bodies.
Yeah. But let's have real talk right here for a minute, right? The NBA is blowing up now. We just talked about how many ticket sales they're doing. They need to make this sustainable. It's not a gimme that this thing is taking off now, right? So they've gotten up on top of the hill now. They got to keep it moving. To me, there is no chance the powers that be in control here are going to let her stay in Indiana. They need to move her as fast as they can to New York or LA right? I mean, they have to.
Well, the good thing I think about Caitlin Clark, this draft class for the WNBA, is that there were a couple players that are interesting, right? Like, let's have Angel Reese in Chicago, we'll get into that. A nice little player. And she's like a fun villain, basically, And then you have the LA Sparks girl, Cameron Brink, who also isn't bad. Like she also is on a horrible team. I know because I watched them. That was my main takeaway from that Fever Sparks game was like these two teams are horrible, right? Like there's some couple good players on each team, but overall, like these teams are going to pick high in the draft again, which I don't think is a bad thing. Like
no,
I think
you got to build through the draft in the WNBA. You don't have like big free agency and moves at the deadline. Like they got to build through the draft, no doubt about it. Let's jump on Angel Reese for a minute. And I don't mean it like that. Let's jump on the topic. Listen, she's driving me crazy. She's driving me crazy in a way you wouldn't believe. Okay. You and I are huge wrestling fans, right? Huge wrestling fans, right? There's babyface and the heel. For you guys that aren't wrestling fans, like that's how you sell tickets and make a ton of money, right? So the babyface is the hero and the heel is the bad guy. For you guys that don't know that, right now, Caitlin Clark is the babyface for the league and Angel Reese is the heel, right? She could be such a good heel and she sucks at it. Andy, she sucks at being the heel, man. I every day I'm frustrated with her because I'm like, can you be a better heel, please? And let me explain. Like when you're the heel, like here's the statement that she made the other day. Like, I'll take the bad guy role. I'll go down in history. And in 20 years, everybody will be like, yeah, the reason people are watching WNBA isn't just because of Caitlin Clark. It's because of me too. And it's like, oh, you're so close there. If you weren't crying about it when you delivered that line, if you deliver that like Ric Flair, like it's because of me too. You know what I mean? Like she doesn't get how to play the bad guy. The heel absolutely needs to be unapologetic, antagonistic, and outspoken toward the babyface's fans, right? And she was crushing this when they beat him in the championship game, right? She crushed this. It was exactly how the heel takes the belt off the babyface, right?
Right.
You win the match to no doing of your own. They didn't win. LSU didn't win that game because of Angel Reese at all. 3 other people, I think, outscored her in the game. She never guarded Caitlin Clark. They never went against each other. It's like when the manager comes in and knocks the babyface out, and then, the heel wins the belt, and then gets in the face of the hero, gets in the face of the babyface, taunts the fans like they totally dominate her. She gets in her face, does the whole. She was killing it. Like, yes, this is how you play the heel.
Right.
And then this year, she loses and gets on TV and cries about being the heel. You're losing me. You can't get on TV and be like, you're making me the bad guy. And it's like, no, be the bad guy. Lean into it. She could crush it.
Well, yeah, it's what makes it good. Like, if this was a wrestling storyline, as you're saying, which is true, she's the heel.
It is, yeah.
The face, the baby face. They would meet in the NBA or the WNBA finals, right? Because in WrestleMania 2 years ago, Angel Reese won. Then last year in WrestleMania, Caitlin Clark won. This one would be the one to settle the whole thing. Bird magic style, basically. They're like new Bird magic. They're new Bird magic, kind of.
They could be, but my argument is she's fucking it up. She's fucking it up because she reeks of, like, for you wrestling fans, through the years, there's been some heels, right, Andy, that you've been like, this guy's a great heel. This is fun and I'm loving it. But then you can see that, like, that jealousy factor gets out and they reek of that wanting to be the babyface so bad that they blow it and they lose the heel aspect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
she's doing that.
It's got to be hard on Angel Reese. So she's what, 19, 18?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's hard.
I'm sure it's hard. Like, she's not, like even Draymond, if you watch those first few years of Draymond, it wasn't like Draymond was what the Draymond you think of. It took Draymond a few years to kind of work his way into being a complete dick.
Yeah, he had to start ball slapping and
yeah, I mean, Draymond, even now, like, he's delusional. Like, shit he says on Inside the NBA, they're like, I would think Draymond is like in his 5th year and he is like the world's greatest defender because he was like, nobody, only person guard Rudy Gobert great as me. I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
He's so delusional.
So it takes it. So my only point is, Angel's gonna pick it up a little more steam. She will go over the edge because I think she's just the team's gonna get better, and as the team gets better, it will pick up for her. I think she's going to get better.
I hope so. She's got to get better at being the heel, though, right? I mean, if you're a wrestling fan, you're picking up all the subtle little things here. You're going to blow it. This is your cash cow here, and you're going to blow it. You desperately want to be the baby face, and that does not work for a heel. You got to lean into it, girl. Give me more heel.
Also, it would help be more heel if their team was more successful. You
True.
know, like you think about the Pistons. You know, like what makes like Lane Beer and Mahorn and those guys more fun in your memory is that they were winning, right? When they're doing it and they're losing, it looks almost pathetic, right? Like Draymond, right? When they're doing it and they're losing, you're like, ugh. But when they're doing it and winning, and then you're like, whoa, what a great heel. So that team's got to win a little more. And it would be helpful if Caitlin Clark's team won a little more as well to build up that rivalry.
It would. She's just got to get away from the crying about being the villain and just go Rodman, man. Lean right into it. Get in the microphone and be like, let's go. You know what I mean? It could be so fun. And she's teetering right now. She could take off and be a real fun heel, or she could collapse this thing, man. But she's young. You're right. It's a lot to put on her, man. She's got to understand
what's incredible is like we spent the first 10 minutes or whatever talking about the WNBA. Right. Like, it's true. Which is probably, again, the Caitlin Clark of it all, but it's not a bad product. I've got to say, like, you know, the product has obviously improved so much, but the Angel Reese's, the Caitlin Clarks, the Cameron Brinks that are coming in are helping. And the women's college game, I think people would argue, was better than the men's. I was at the tournament, you know, possibly. So it's kind of fun. Yeah,
that's the last point I was going to make on the WNBA and women's basketball, college basketball in general is, to me, it is a lot more fun to watch sometimes because it is a lot more physical. They let it go. Everything is not whistled. Everyone's not taking a dive. They're not going to the free throw line every 10 seconds. You know, now granted, they're not as athletic as the men, but so what? Like the game is a lot more physical and there's a lot more action, but it's got to be, right? Because they need to sell it. They wouldn't be selling. We wouldn't be watching if it was like the NBA and it was a foul every 2 seconds and these ladies are shooting free throws. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think it's great how they let it go. And it's like actually watching basketball. It's a lot more physical. It's fun.
Yeah. Good teamwork. You got somebody like, you know, again, like nobody's giving Clark any space. If they give her a little space, you know, she's going to pop it. And I think if our team if everybody, for the Fever, the Sparks, and even Chicago, the Sky, like they got to be bad. Build those teams up. But, you know, right now, New York, Las Vegas is kind of dominating that league. You know, then they'll fall, but it'll be fun.
Yeah, it did kind of. I'll leave it at this. It did kind of drive me a little crazy the next day on the mothership when everybody was defending the Kennedy hit on Caitlin Clark as that's just competitive play. Don't tell women how to be competitive. Come on, guys. Let's just be honest. This is after the play on an inbound when everyone else is normally just jogging back down the other way. She goes out of her way to run over there and knock her down. And it is what it is. Yes, you lose your cool in games. Been there. Fucking been there. But let's all just be honest about it and own it. Hey, she was busting her ass and she lost her cool and knocked her down. Move on. Let's not.
Yeah, it was a cheap shot. It was a cheap shot.
Definitely.
You know. And I kind of need Caitlin Clark to also stand up for herself a little bit. I need her to kind of like just like push. Also, it would help if her team stood up for her a little bit. But if they're not going to, she needs to do it just a little bit. Like whatever, you know.
Yeah, but that's her whole generation. They're brought up on the diving. Their first instinct is to play victim and lay down and be hurt. Whereas the generation before them, first instinct was, "Did you just fucking touch me?" You know what I mean? So she's got to make her choice on that. But that is what it is. I'll leave that old head talk alone right there. Everybody will label us old men for trying to be tough. But anyway, let's get into some quick hits, buddy. All right, let's jump into some NFL quarterback talk for quick hits this week. We'll stay right here. The Lions signed Jared Goff, and people have lost their mind about the money that they gave Jared Goff, and they're completely stupid, right? I mean, the Lions got to do that.
The Lions got to. It's too much money for Goff, but the Lions got to do it. I think two things can be true. That's just kind of the market for the quarterbacks, and if the Lions weren't, it would be stupid for them to let him go.
Yeah. You know? Here's the thing I always want to ask people is like, who are you going to get to replace him? Who's coming in better than him that's going to take this team back to the NFC Championship game this year? Who?
Right. No. Right. It's the most important position in maybe sports. And you got a guy who works well in the system, who knows the team trusts.
Love him.
You got wide receivers who love him. You got the coach who loves him. The city's into him. Like, look, that's just the deal. It's like best case scenario when they traded for Goff. like this is best case scenario. It could have gone much worse. If I was a Lions fan, I would be
Yeah.
thrilled that it happened the way it's happened.
Thrilled to death, man. I mean, this guy, they love him in the locker room. Chemistry's a real thing. The Lions are finally showing the league that, it's not just about tolerating however anybody wants to act if they're good. No, chemistry's a real thing. And I'm sure you've seen this floating around the internet, but let's talk about Goff a little bit. He's the only quarterback to pass for 30,000 yards and have less than 100 INTs. Yeah. That's a big deal. That's a big deal because in this league, and disagree with me or don't on this one, Andy, but in this league, it's argued you got to have the guy that can flat out win the game for you, or you got to have someone that manages the game, right?
Right. Sure.
Okay. So outside of the top 3 win the game for you guys in the league who are like what? Mahomes, I don't know, to an extent, maybe Jared Allen, Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, maybe Lamar. Yeah. There's not a lot of guys. It's a small list.
Maybe Lamar, it's small. It's very small, right? And then on the other side of the fence, you got the game managers. And here you got a guy that lands right in between those two things and closer to the win the game for you guy.
Right.
I mean, I don't see a problem with rolling with that guy, man.
No, look, there's also, it's great for, Goff. Like there's not a lot of options out there, right? Like you're pretty good and there's not another quarterback or two the Lions come and get. You have the leverage. Your team was really good. There's nobody else that can replace you right now. Look, he did what if I was Goff, I'd be like, this is where I want to be, which he's definitely said. He loves Detroit. So it's a good deal for. Is Goff like one of the best 10 quarterbacks in the league? I mean, maybe.
I'd say he's easily in the top 10.
I don't know about easily. I think he's not in the top 5, right? He's probably not in the top 5.
I'd say he's probably just outside of it. Honestly, I'd probably just say he's just outside of it.
But we're gonna, I off the top of my head, we're talking Allen, Lamar, Mahomes. We got 3 right there.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably take Herbert. I'd take Joe Burrow. So we got 5 right there.
Okay, but that's the difference. That's the difference between guys you would take, though, right? Like people would say, "Yeah, I'd take Herbert," but like, look what Herbert's done. I mean, honestly, there's a good argument. I like the kid, but I'm saying honestly, it's a good argument for he's been a little overblown about how good he is.
Well, sure, but Herbert also had like one of the worst coaches in the NFL for 2 or 3 years. They absolutely blew Herbert's like cap number. Like it's not Herbert's fault. Like Herbert's awesome. Like if you switch coaches with the Chargers and the Lions, Herbert's going to be incredible, and you're going to be like, what a bust Goff is, right? Ultimately. So like
maybe, but I'm like, I think he gets a bit of a bad rap. I'm not banging the drum that he's one of the best in the league, but I do think people are still stuck with that taste in their mouth of that Super Bowl and then the team wanting to get rid of him. You know what I mean? I think they're still stuck with that taste in their mouth. And I think he's proved in the last 2 years in Detroit that like that stuff didn't stick with me, man. Like I'm a different dude now. He's putting up great numbers. Yeah, he lost the Super Bowl to Tom fucking Brady. He's in the Super Bowl in his 3rd year in the league, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Well, no doubt. I would say like the Goff trade, which I wasn't a fan of at the time, has worked out A+++ for the Lions, and it's given them so much. Goff's been awesome. Here's a fun fact about the Detroit Lions' upcoming NFL schedule, and I love this fact. The Detroit Lions, guess how many games they play outside? Outside, because I hate Goff outside.
You had sent me this, but I don't know.
3.
Love
all
it.
Year.
Love it.
Detroit Lions inside are a very hard team to play. Detroit Lions outside are much easier to play. Yeah. They play 3 games all year outside. If Goff wins one of them, 2 of them, that would be incredible. So, look, I love the Lions this year. I don't, I know we're not in the futures. I love the Packers this year. I think those are going to be great games. But I think Goff inside is great. So I think Goff's going to have another great year. Won't even care about the contract, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, you guys, everybody go on and hate on Goff all you fucking want. Go ahead and hate on him if you want to. But this guy's only been in the league 8 years. He's been to 2 NFC championship games and a Super Bowl already. And he took the Detroit Lions to a few plays away from going to the fucking Super Bowl. Leave my man alone. Leave my man alone. That's pretty great. You know what I mean? Let's hit the next one. All right. We all saw CJ Stroud on the podcast talk about he'd rather have Eli's career than Aaron Rodgers. Disagree with me or don't. He's 100% right.
I disagree with you.
Oh, man.
Like, there's no way. So what, he wants to win 2 Super Bowls, and I mean, Eli's going to make the Hall of Fame, but if that's not true, Aaron Rodgers is a way better quarterback and has been to a Super Bowl. Now, sure, Rodgers is not great, in the playoffs sometimes, but a lot of people aren't great in the playoffs.
Yeah.
A lot. It's not like Rodgers is alone on this list. So yeah, no way.
No.
That is to me it's so stupid that he would even
I would way rather have Eli's career, and not just because he has the 2 Super Bowls. It's the 2 Super Bowls he's got, man. He beat Tom Brady twice. He played the fucking GOAT twice. Once when he was undefeated, and beat him twice. Like, give me that.
Right, but that Super Bowl wasn't won because of Eli. Eli made one throw, by the way, which wasn't even a great throw. It was the catch, the David Tyree caught.
Yeah,
right. That team won because of Strahan, right? Because
defensive line.
So it's not like Eli. Look at the stats on that. Like, Eli was like, I don't know what it is, but like he threw like 220 yards, like something shit.
Yeah.
Right?
But still, it is what it is, though. But how many years ago was that? And all you know is Eli beat Brady.
Well, that's the headline for like the Midwest moms, right? Like that's the Midwest moms headline. The real headline is the Giants defense just got on a heater for about 4 weeks, drug them into the playoffs, and then drug them to the Super Bowl.
Brilliant game plan. Brilliant game plan in the playoffs. That defensive line was fucking beautiful. Like, just boom, man. Loved it. Absolutely. But here's the thing I'm going to say about Rodgers. And again, I'm going to come back to chemistry. Okay, yes, we see the guy's tools. We see his physical ability to spin it. We see that. Nobody fucking likes him in any locker room he's in. Outside of his move to the Jets last year, they were loving it. But he's one of these guys where, the talent. And what has he done with it? Like, he's got, like, here's Rodgers postseason. He's in the postseason. He's 12-10. He's 1-4 in NFC championship games, losing to inferior teams multiple times. The only one he did win, they beat the Bears in the infamous Jay Cutler game when he wouldn't come back in the game because he had boo-boo on his knee. After the game, all the x-rays negative. Like, he just didn't want to play. So a shitty Bears team loses their shitty quarterback as the one he won, and he won the Super Bowl. All right. Now, in those 5 NFC championship games, 9 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Right? I mean, like, not good, man. Like, not good.
Yeah, but still, probably one of the best 10 to 15 quarterbacks of all time. Eli Manning's not making the top 25. Maybe he's 25. I mean, I'm saying, like, he is absolutely at the bottom of that list. Aaron Rodgers, was generally stuck with no wide receivers, right? Generally stuck. Still drug those Packers teams to pretty good records. It's not like Rodgers. It's not like Rodgers was like 6-10, 7-9 every year. Like, those teams were very good. Outside of last year, he'd won back-to-back MVP. Just 2 years ago, he was back-to-back MVP. It wasn't like he was back-to-back MVP. But my point is, like, to think you would rather have Eli's career. What's Eli? Eli was so bad. The last 5 years of his career.
He fell off at the end there, but most guys do.
But not Rodgers. I'm just saying Rodgers won the MVP back-to-back 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Rodgers got hurt and missed all of last season. Okay, that happens. But if you just remove that season, Rodgers was the reigning back-to-back MVP. It's
true. That's fair.
Rodgers is a narcissist. He's an asshole. Yep. Nobody likes him. He's crazy. He gets on McAfee and talks all that garbage. That's all garbage, right?
Ridiculous.
He's a Trumpophile. He's whatever. He's all that bad stuff, no doubt. But that doesn't count. That doesn't count in his playing.
I think it does.
No, it does.
I think it does, man. Like, at the end of the day, I'd rather have Eli's career because I'd rather be a guy that a majority of people will be like, hey, that's a great quarterback, beat Tom Brady twice, won 2 Super Bowls, really good dude. I'd love to sit down and have a beer with him. I don't want to be Aaron Rodgers. You're like, man, that guy had really good arm talent and he won a Super Bowl once, but let's get the fuck out of here before we have to talk to him.
You're not hanging
out. I don't
want
to be that guy.
We're just getting in between the lines. I'm playing football. There's no way. If there was a draft,
well, the question isn't who do you want on your team. The question isn't what quarterback do you want in a big game. It's a question is whose career, and that's everything included, would you rather have?
Rodgers. It's not even Eli's not even close. Look, I always sometimes say in some comedies like, are you willing to pay the tax for that joke? Right? That joke, it's crass. Can you pay the tax? Rodgers pays the tax, right? He goes on TV, says dumb shit, and then he will talk about it, right? Now, it takes him some time from time to time.
Sure.
But also, I think some of this is colored by Eli is on TV with Peyton on Omaha, and he's doing stuff like Chad Powers, and he looks way more fun than Rodgers. And he's the last 5 years, he's become an awesome guy, right? Eli's fun. He does the Pro Bowl. That is coloring your how you feel. While Rodgers has gone the opposite way. But Eli hasn't played in like seven years. You don't remember Eli's last 5 years, which was a long time ago.
Yeah.
He was fucking terrible. And Rodgers is 10 times better.
That's probably what plays into it a lot, though, too, is you don't remember a lot of the bad years of Eli because they don't stick out. And you remember a lot of the choke of Rodgers of, my God, this guy gets to the toll booth every year and he forgot his wallet. You know, it's like, where the fuck is he? You know what I mean?
You just remember like what you're arguing, I think, is that you remember Rodgers' insanity talking, right?
And all the losses. I remember like really in the playoffs, Andy, I remember like every time I see him in the playoffs and you think this is it, man. Green Bay is the best team. They're going, man. And then they don't get beat on some crazy shit outside that onside kick that dumbass tight end touched, but they don't get beat on some crazy shit. He just stinks. He goes out there and goes for like 190 and 2 interceptions. And you're like, what the fuck is going on?
But that's also part of it is that at least Rodgers was losing in the playoffs, right?
That's a fair point.
Like, you're punishing him for delivering those kind of shitty Packers teams who only had Devonta Adams the last year or two. Like you're punishing him for losing, for winning. You're winning in the regular season and then punishing him for losing. Eli didn't even get that far. Eli didn't even make it to Eli. Once the end of December came, Eli was like, all right, cool. I'm going to go home and relax. And I'm just going to sit on top of my 2 Super Bowls I won because of my defense. You're like, cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, I don't know, man. That's where I land on that one. For me, I'd rather be that guy than the other guy. And maybe that's a different argument. Maybe I'm not being fair within my own argument there. I would rather be Eli Manning than Aaron Rodgers. 100%.
I would rather be. But as a person, as a quarterback who's taking the ball and throwing it around the field, I would much rather be Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know. Look at we'll disagree to disagree on this one, but just for me a little bit, like I always wanted to be a teammate that guys liked and looked up to and wanted to, like follow and work with and shit. You know what I mean? Like I never wanted to be a fucking guy like Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? So I guess to me that kind of bleeds in a bit where I'm like, no, I wouldn't want Aaron Rodgers' career where every time I leave the building, I think I'm the greatest person in the world and everybody else is going, that fucking guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
That's what the great ones truly do, right?
What are
you talking about? Like, do you want to have that argument about like Draymond, who was brought up a few times?
Draymond is the most overrated player ever. He can't get in.
But he's going to go to the Hall of Fame, right? He's won 4 titles. He's important to the Warriors. He leaves the building. Jordan leaves the building. It's like Joe Burrow leaves that building being like, I am the best player on this team. And without me, they don't win.
There's a lot of guys that leave the building thinking they're the best, player in the world and aren't shitty teammates.
Yeah, but some of them aren't. You just don't know it. Rodgers is the only one who makes it very public.
Yeah, he is a turd. Well, let's jump into the last point.
You're punishing Rodgers because he's a turd of a human. You're not punishing him because of his football play.
Well,
his football playing is.
You can't punish Rodgers because he doesn't believe he's ever being punished. So
he's a horrible person, though.
He's a terrible human being.
Ranking, get him out of here.
He's a terrible human being. All right, you're going to hate this. For the last quick hit here, we are going to pile on Aaron Rodgers a little bit more.
Right.
Let's talk about this. Whose career would you rather have?
Okay.
Ben Roethlisberger or Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron
I'm
Rodgers.
Big Ben. I'm Big Ben all
No.
day.
Why?
I think you're going to be dead wrong on this one. Now you're talking about how great they are on the field, right? Okay,
Yeah.
which was fair enough. Rodgers greater than Eli on the field. Let's look at Ben next to Rodgers, and I don't think a lot of people realize this, right? Okay, passing yards. That now this is both of them 18 years in the league. Okay, now Rodgers is going to play a couple more because he's playing into his 40s. Both of them 18 seasons, so equal seasons here. I'm not pulling no bullshit. Okay, passing yards. Big Ben 64,000. Rodgers 59. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Touchdowns. Rodgers a little bit more, 475. Big Ben 420. Okay. Mm-hmm. Wins. Big Ben 166. Rodgers 149. Big Ben number 5 on the all-time passing list. Rodgers number 8. Probably going to catch him if he plays these next 2 years, but Ben better all over the board here outside of a few touchdowns, right? Big Ben is number 1 and 500-yard games in the history of the league. 4 times he's done it. Rodgers 0. Big Ben 13 playoff wins to Rodgers 12. Big Ben 3 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl wins. Rodgers 1. Ben's got numbers I don't think people realize, man.
He's got great numbers. You know, he played everything. The one advantage Roethlisberger had is like he played on a great team as a rookie. The team was the number 1 seed in the AFC. I believe, lost at home to the Pats in that dynasty, Pats dynasty. So Roethlisberger had as much better teams, right? Teams that did not need Big Ben.
Green Bay's Green Bay, though, man. Rodgers, it wasn't like Rodgers was Peyton Manning got drafted by the Colts and had to do that magic. I mean, he stepped right in for Favre, dynasties. I mean.
But if you look at Big Ben's stats his first few years, they're like dink and dunk. There's a few good games. But here's the thing that confuses me most, and I'm going to ask you because we're going to have to rewind the tape. You said part of it is who they are off the field, what kind of a player they are.
Sure.
Ben Roethlisberger raped a girl, her, and he got away with it. He got away with it, and he did just like Kobe, right? And he ruined a season because of a motorcycle crash, right? Doing something that you can't do in your contract. These teams have this in their contract. So I'm very confused.
Bad decisions.
Here's what I understand. You have an absolute hatred for the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. You are letting that bleed into all these kind of average quarterbacks who are slightly above average that you're telling me is better than Rodgers, which this is just not true.
First of all, I don't hate the Packers. I don't hate the Packers, right? Like, you know that. I'm a shareholder. Like, I own a share of the team. You know what I mean? Like, I'm Lions number 1, but as a kid, I always did like the Packers and, Magic Don Mikowski when they sucked and stuff. I was a big Brett Favre fan. Listen, I don't hate the Packers. Rodgers is an asshole. As far as Ben Roethlisberger's rape charges and things like that, listen, I'm not going on the record with anything on that. I don't know that situation. I do know there was some money involved and the thing went away. That's all I know. And this, we don't know. And I'm not going to defend him from a standpoint of, I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened. Something to do, they were in a bathroom, at a bar or whatever. I do know these guys are a target of that stuff a lot of times. I don't know what happened in this situation, and I'm not defending that. But the motorcycle thing, that's a bad decision. That's not being an asshole.
But it is against your team. No. But who cares? It's against your team, right? It's in your contract. You cannot. It's in the contract, and that is you are putting yourself before your team in a very different way. That's not what Rodgers is doing it with his mouth. Roethlisberger did it with his action. Completely different, right? I would be more mad at Roethlisberger. Be like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I bet he felt fucking worse than anybody else about it. Whereas Rodgers would have been like, I ride my fucking motorcycle when I want to. And if you guys can't win without me, deal with it.
Maybe, but Rodgers didn't do that, right? Rodgers is smart enough to know, like, that is how I don't play in an NFL season.
Listen, Aaron Rodgers could have easily died in the darkness he didn't know what he was swallowing with that poison drugs he was taking. He could have killed himself in that cave, man.
Here's some things I noticed in that little setup, which, by the way, if Rodgers plays a couple years, he will pass Roethlisberger and those other stats.
Yeah.
But Rodgers has over 2,000 more rushing yards, right? He's got over 15 more rushing touchdowns. He has 4 more Pro Bowls. He has 5 more All-Pros. He's got 4 more MVPs, and he's got a Super Bowl MVP. Like,
all pros count.
what do-
Pro Bowls, we're right. We don't care about Pro Bowls, right?
we don't care about it.
That's Pro Bowls on that, right?
Ultimately,
But yeah,
you
I
know,
don't know. Like I'd rather have Big Ben's career playing in
No.
Pittsburgh, one of the greatest teams. I'm not a big Steelers lackey at all, but you got to give it up to what they are. And you got to be the guy there to win a couple Super Bowls. You're at the top of all these record charts. You multiple. Rather be Roethlisberger's career, I think.
I'd rather be Aaron Rodgers. I'd rather be constant. I mean,
You don't want to be Aaron Rodgers. You wouldn't rather be Aaron Rodgers, but
I'd rather be Aaron Rodgers' career. I'd
Okay.
rather not his person. I'd probably rather be Big Ben. Though Big Ben's to me a dick too. Like, he's got his own podcast where he was shitting on the Steelers last year. I'm like, what are you doing?
He
I get
did go through a
some-
little stretch in his retirement where he get a little drunk and loose lipped.
Like, what are we doing? Like,
He did.
you're picking people. Yeah, that are. This
Yeah.
is crazy to me. This is a crazy section of being called. Mikey tries to find ways to shit on Aaron Rodgers. I can't believe it's happening.
I think it went great. This is disagree with me or don't right here, man. Both sides of the fence here. I love it. I love it, man. All right. Well, hey, let's take a second here, get into the sponsors, Andy. NBA Finals on. The blowout last night. No doubt about it. Blowout last night, but we'll expect them to come back. And when you're watching the next game, guys, enjoy the game with the official beer choice of DWMOD. It's Old English 800 and some orange juice. Get some brass monkeys going. Enjoy the games. It's a delicious, delicious treat. Am I wrong?
No, not at all. That is the best. It is the best. You got to do it.
Yeah, especially if it's early in the morning. You got to get into it, man.
Oh,
You
yeah.
gotta
Early
get
in the morning when you want to do it.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt. And of course, we got to throw it to my man, Gordon Butterfield, on what just happened.
Oh, what just happened?
What just happened is brought to you by the RustBeltClub.com.
Oh, what just happened?
Young Cody Pembroke feeling rizzy and drippy in that Toyota Prius. Ho ho, Snake Eyes! Caught him slipping and he lost it all. Oh my, let's see where Window Jack got the jump on Froggy Fresh. It looks like Cody's got some time to kill while he waits on those waves to come in. So he's counting up a boatload of cash. Looks like about $31 bills. Ho, that won't last you 20 minutes in the club, young man. I can see you've got a XXX watch, but you sure don't know what time it is. But at least he's being safe. That seatbelt kept him right in place.
Oh, what just happened?
Gordon didn't care for that kid at all.
No, I like that he's happy about a seatbelt. That's my favorite part of it.
Yeah, well, my man was sure buckled up while he parked to shoot that
Yeah.
video, wasn't he?
Keeps him nice and safe. Keeps him nice and safe.
That's why Gordon is who he is, man. He's up there watching. He don't miss anything, man. He don't
No
miss
way. No way. He's the
All right,
best.
wait. Let's jump into our last segment here, which is always the most fun for me. I love it. Let's get into Knock It Off.
All right, everyone, time to do me a favor and knock it off.
Okay, let's stick in the NFL for a minute here. The Buffalo Bills are bringing in Gable Stevens. I don't know if you heard about this. They're bringing in Gable Stevens, the Olympic gold medal wrestler. They're bringing him into camp to give him a shot to make the football team.
Right.
Knock it off. What are you doing?
You're not a fan?
No, listen, I'll break it down for you why I'm not a fan. Okay. If this guy had a history like he played ball, but then gave it up to wrestle and shit, and he's a fucking bad, he's like one of the greatest college wrestlers of all time. This dude's a legit badass. Okay. And he fits the bill. He's 6'1". He's a little short. He's 6'1", 275. I mean, this guy's got defensive lineman written all over him. Right. But he's never played anything but wrestling, man. Not like that. This guy wasn't like an athlete growing up. He never played any football. He made the comment that the first time he ever put cleats on was when the Bills brought him in to run around a little bit and test him out.
Right.
What are you doing?
Well, I agree. It's unlikely to happen, right? I mean, I doubt maybe he'll get a sack, maybe he'll make the team. But you know, I'm interested in watching the experiment. But look, I don't think he's going to the Hall of Fame.
No,
Yeah.
Here's my thing with it. Why I'm irritated about it. I'm not irritated at Gable Stevens at all. Listen, if this was something they were trying to do, like in Denver, or maybe even Harbaugh brought him into San Diego or something, I'd be on my tippy toes cheering and rooting for the guy. I want to see it. Put it on Hard Knocks. I love this. You're the fucking Buffalo Bills. You just cleaned up the locker room, according to you, got rid of what you think the problem is. You've got your window here to try to go win this thing. You've addressed free agency in the offseason. Bills are ready to go after this fucking thing this year. And then you start your own circus?
I guess. I mean, I don't know if it'll. I guess I don't think it's going to be that much of a circus. I think like I don't. I think that we'll get a little bit of training camp of him, and then he'll get cut or he'll make the team, and then he'll come in and like he'll be a backup. That'll come in and make one play in like week 11, and then I think that story's over. I also don't think the Bills are like elite. Like I think the Bills are. I think they're. But I think they're underrated. I think they're going to be a team that's gonna win that division. Probably. Would I take them? Probably.
Yeah.
But they're not like. I think the window is closed for the elite team, and I just don't think they're one of the best 3 teams in the AFC.
Yeah, maybe not. I'm like, I don't know why you got to be spending your time on this. But then again, maybe McDermott's a genius, and maybe this is the distraction to the bone to throw out there for the media to chomp on while they take care of business behind the scenes. I don't know. Sometimes these guys are brilliant.
Yeah, but also you want to, I'm sure he was league minimum, right?
Sure,
take a flyer, league minimum. If he's awesome, great. If he's not, see it. Like that league minimum guys get cut all the time, right?
Yeah,
like
he's
not even he probably didn't even have a contract. He's got to win. He's got to make the team.
Yeah, right.
So
this has got Brock Lesnar and Goldberg and all these other wrestlers that tried to go. This has got that written all over it. You know what I mean? But listen, any other team I think is fun. Bills, I don't think you need this nonsense right now, but who cares? I guess at the end of the day, right?
Well, I'm not against the Bills for trying it, right? I'm McDermott just might as well. He's got, what else he got to lose?
Yeah, I'm pulling for the kid. Like I said, I'm pulling for the kid. I think it's fun. I love to see a great athlete that get out there and get ahead and stuff. I'd love to see him make the team. I just don't think the Bills needed the distraction. I don't know.
All right, everyone. Time to do me a favor and knock it off.
Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
I cannot listen to one more announcer say safety squeeze. I cannot listen to one more. Look at you laughing. I cannot listen to it.
I have to admit, and I've watched some baseball, but not a lot. But I haven't heard it. So I'm just going to enjoy this.
If you're like, I'm doing heavy gambling, not heavy money wise, but like I'm into it every day, putting money on Major League Baseball games. So I do watch a lot of National League games where somebody like you, Royals fan, probably not. Somebody like me, normally Tiger fans, probably not. Oh my God. It's like nails on the chalkboard with these guys every time. Safety squeeze, safety squeeze. Now I get it. We don't want to be saying suicide squeeze. That's a real thing right now. And I'm not trying to be some woke, sensitive, whatever, you know what I mean? But I am a fucking intelligent human being. And I understand there are things that are sensitive, man. And like teenage suicide specifically is up 50% from the 70s, man. Like that's crazy, correct? That's crazy. So yeah, that's a word that maybe in something that's a family sport like this, you're taking a family to the ball game and it's a lot of parents and their kids and things. Nobody should have to hear that and relive probably the worst fucking thing you could ever have to imagine. You know what I mean? I'm with you. I'm with you. Let's not say suicide squeeze. 100% on board. Who the fuck came up with safety? What the hell's safe about that play in any way? I'm going to give you a second to give me something. I don't know.
I don't get it. I didn't even know, to be honest, I didn't even know this was happening.
Oh, it's been going on for years. Some mom said it at the end of some meeting in a T-ball game 15 years ago, and it's caught on like wildfire. And in the last 8-9 years, it's gotten bigger. And this year it's bigger than ever. You know, everything's very political correct nowadays, which in some cases is fine. It's great. We need a lot of it, but this one, there's nothing safe about it. Like they just tried to go the opposite way direct. There's nothing safe about the play. It's very dangerous. There's nothing safe about it in strategy wise in the game. There's nothing safe about it. You could really fuck yourself. This guy could pop it up. You could lose both runners. I mean, anyway, like let's call it dead man's curve or some shit. I don't know, man. What are you going, let's just call it walking the plank, some shit like that. Like, if there's no sharks in the water to get the run, I don't know, but there's got to be a better name than fucking safety squeeze.
I love it. I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to listen for it now.
Oh, it's terrible. Just really quickly to be like the guy, because it looks like the Cubs are going to line up and go for the safety squeeze here. The safety squeeze is on. How bad does that sound?
Well, I mean, if Sweet Gordon's doing the game, it sounds great.
If Gordon's doing it, he would never say safety squeeze. You know that.
No.
They immediately would have been in his ear and say, Gordon, say safety squeeze for this one, right? And he'd be like, I don't think so.
Yeah,
He would, no way. He'd be like, I look like they're lining up to send Jones right down Dead Man's Curve.
right. He's probably slightly racist, would be my guess on Gordon,
Oh.
but I don't know.
Not to his own fault. He was born in 1920.
Right.
He's wrong, but he,
Right.
you know,
Right.
he was born in the
He's
factory.
like 104 years old, like no doubt. He's seen a lot of stuff.
He's seen a lot of stuff, man. That's crazy. But let's move on from that. I hate it.
All right, everyone. Time to do me a favor and knock it off.
Okay, this one is for the haters online, Andy, and we'll end on this one. We'll go out on this one. This is for the people that want to attack us every day on the social media sites about the baseball picks. Okay, I get these comments from people that are like, "Oh, this guy caps. This parlay didn't come in. This thing didn't win. This did," and I'm like, "Listen up, listen up." I pointed out every fucking day. This is not a 6-team parlay we are posting, right? These are 6 teams that we like according to their run line, right? We give 2 teams on the positive run line plus a run and a half. We give 2 teams we think could win on the negative run line minus 1.5. And we give 2 teams that could win on the money line. You mix and match how you like. You take who you like. You put them in parlays. We're constantly posting, hey, play smaller parlays. Win. How many times have the headlines to these posts for picks said, this is a marathon in the baseball season. Our sole objective here is to win a little bit of money every day on small parlays so that we got a couple $100 for NFL season, right?
Right.
What they keep coming at me. So I put together a little video for you idiots, and maybe this will help you understand what's going on when you're looking at the picks and then you want to come at me because the 6-team parlay didn't come in. But you can also kiss my ass because 4 days ago, the 6-team parlay did come in. The 16 parlay did come in a couple days ago for like $285 for $5 bet. So you kiss my ass on that. But this video's for you.
Yeah, you don't listen. I tell you to play within your means. You risk your whole bankroll. I tell you not to overextend yourself, to rebuild. You're going to hock for more. You did it to yourself. You had to put it all on the line for some Vegas pipe dream.
Hey, I took a risk. You see all the angles. You never have the fucking stones to play one.
Stones? You little punk. I'm not playing for the thrill of fucking victory here. I play for money.
Right?
I like how that video was turned. Right?
Yeah, I'm going to edit that and fix. I don't know how the fuck that just happened, but we'll correct it.
Is that Rounders? Rounders?
Yeah. And dead on.
Here's and here's what I would say ultimately about that. It's like, and with the NFL picks or whatever, it's like, look, these picks are free, right?
Free.
People are giving you a little bit of work to tell you these are some of the things I've found, right? And you're doing a little bit of work. Sure, you would do full time, you would do deep dive into it for hours if your life let you do that, right? If you didn't have 100 other commitments. I would do that if my life didn't have 100 other commitments, right?
Yep.
If you should never pay for betting picks. If you're paying for betting picks by people calling you or you're on some like you are stupid. You're stupid. There are a lot of ways. There are a lot of podcasts. There are a lot of sites that have information that we're using, that they're using, that professionals are using. We're all using the same information. What all you're trying to do and all I'm trying to do is say, hey, I've done some of that work for you. You still need to go make your own decision, right? You still have to do the things you want to do. I'm just giving you the information that I've gathered, right, and I'm putting it to you in the small little forum in whatever way. So yeah, if people are getting mad, I mean, those people are dumb.
Yeah,
it's all free.
And this isn't football season, man, where you got the whole week to put together your picks and to figure it out, man. We're putting out 6 teams every single morning,
right,
for Major League Baseball every single morning. And I'm telling you, since the beginning of the year, how many games in are we right now? Like 60, 70? 60, 65, 70 games in. Since day one, I think we've only been under 500 like 3 times. I think 3 times this year we came in with 2 wins and 4 losses. A lot of the time we're 3-3. Majority of the time we're 4-2. And we've been 5-1 and 6-0 a couple of times. So you're getting very good picks here. You just got to put the parlay together how you want it.
Yeah, you have to use some of it has to be your opinion too, right? And you're the person who's listening to the podcast. You have to like if you're just blindly following us or anyone, that's a tougher way. That's going to make you angry, right? If you're blindly doing it, you have to put a little bit of your own sweat equity into it. And by the way, not a lot. I'm not talking like hours. I'm saying like 5 minutes. Look at the team. Be like, okay, this is who the Royals are pitching. This is who the Guardians are pitching. Okay,
I mean,
figure it
yeah.
out. Whatever.
Take a little look for yourself, man. Look back through the last couple days. Who's hot? Who's not? What teams are rolling? Did they come in late last night? These are all things that I'm considering when I'm giving you the teams. So you're not going to take all 6, man. You could take 3 of them and put together a $5 parlay. You could put together 2 of them, put a $10 parlay, whatever you want to do. But here's the part that I also don't care for. Well, actually, I don't really care. I'm just making up some shit right now. But I'm not mad about it. But goddamn, man, a couple days in a row, I gave y'all 5-1. Then I gave you a 6-0. Yesterday, we went 4-1. A game got rained out, so we went 4-1. I mean, I put together about $350, $400 to my pot in the last couple days off the picks I handed out. We didn't get one goddamn thank you, Andy.
Well, of course. Well, not to mention too, like it's how gambling works, right? You're hot for a few days, hopefully longer.
Yeah,
and then you're going to be cold, right? You can't. Well, you can, but hopefully you won't. You won't jump ship or yell when it's going bad because it's going to go bad, right? If it was all gravy all the time,
right,
everyone would do it. So
right,
you just have to hang in, right? Just hang in.
Oh yeah, believe me, man. I had a little stretch there a couple of weeks ago where we were down a couple $100 on $5 bets where I was like, God dang, these parlays ain't hitting. I got the right teams, but not the right part. And now we're back. So just be patient, man. Baseball's a marathon. If you come out of this thing on $5 parlays, if you come out of this thing at the end of the year with about $300 or $400 positive to take into the football season, you're fucking welcome.
Yeah. Not to mention too, parlays are like, I mean, I do them too, but they're like the worst bets, right? Because you gotta get 1, 2, 3, whatever, right? Yep. And it's hard. So if you're betting $5 parlays, just write it out. You're gonna lose way more than you win.
Keep them small until you're sure. Keep 2 to 3 teams until you think something like, oh, it's a 4-teamer tonight, man. Okay, once in a while, whatever. Anyway, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but hey, stay up on the guy, stay up on it, man. DWMOD pod across the board, IG, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, every morning, putting them up there. It's the same damn song every day. You know it. Trendsetter. Boom. You'll hear it. Take picks, put your bets in, man.
That, by the way, I'll give you one I already like for the NFL season. I'm just going to tell you I'm going to take them right now. I'm taking the Ravens at Kansas City, week 1. Definitely taking the Ravens.
That's a good bet.
So whatever, if you get it at a good number now, do it. Right? Yeah. Like, look, just typical Chiefs. Remember, they don't play well at home.
Not at home.
It's also going to be. They did it last year. They lost to the Lions on defending Super Bowl champions. They're going to do it again. By the way, take the over and take the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you 100%. And I didn't even look at it because I got faith in what you know about football because you give us good picks every damn time. And it just makes sense to me, too. That's exactly what I think will happen as well.
If anything, the over would be, I would bet that last. I would just wait to see what the number is. But I'm taking the Ravens for sure.
Yeah, take the Ravens on that one. We're going to get hot and heavy into football here. Before you know it, guys, we're going to be right back to Big Six picks, dropping it on, having guests, getting this thing back rolling again. But until then, we'll be back next week. We'll try to get something back together next week, Andy. We'll get some talking points back together. And as always, it's going to be disagree with me or don't. We'll say what we want to say because we're not on the mothership.
Well, also, this Rodgers slander, we're going to have to really look into this.
That will continue. I'll come up with some more quarterbacks next time that I would also have their career over him, including Jared Goff. And on that note, we'll see you next time, brother.
Bye.
It's time for another episode of All Right Bet.